I'm back, and tonight I'm going to do something a little different. I'm reviewing poetry with wine. And I'm not doing that thing that a lot of YouTubers do where they pretend to drink because what they're dealing with is so bad that they can't handle it without alcohol. No, I'm actually drinking. I'm going to be reading a poem that my friend Heather wrote when she was in the 8th grade. All of us have written bad 8th grade poetry. So, let's get to it. Our writer here actually makes interesting use of color. Different stanzas are different colors. She wrote this in black and red pens. It's called Fault/Hardship. Fault is in black, hardship is in red. First stanza is in red, and it will alternate as we go. Fault/Hardship. People keep on telling me it is not my fault. I tend to strongly disagree, so I listen to my alt. Everyone says he's okay. I then start to believe he only fell because he wanted to play, and they feel that they achieve. I then see the lump on his head and know that they are wrong. Because of me, he can't go to bed. So to calm me down, I listen to the song. Every time I am upset, I listen to 3DG. It puts my mood into a net, and I somewhat start to feel glee. Adam helps me understand that hardships are on demand. So what we have here is a poem with an ABAB rhyme scheme, no discernible metrical thing happening. 4 stanzas of ABAB rhyme ending with a rhymed couplet. I think I might be missing out on some of the cultural context in this one. I had to look up 3DG. 3 Days Grace. Let's go to Wikipedia. 3DG, or 3 Days Grace, is a Canadian rock band formed in Norwood, Ontario in 1997. Lead vocalist is named Adam. That gives me context for that last couplet. So what's happening in this poem? Well, the speaker was entrusted with the care of a young boy who has probably got a concussion. Where am I getting this information from? People keep telling me it's not my fault. Something happened. Speaker feels responsible. Everyone says he's okay. Who is he? Something that is the speaker's fault, supposedly. It has to do with this he. He only fell because he wanted to play. So we get the idea, because of that word play, that the he is young and he fell. So the speaker feels responsible because this he fell. But it's not fatal because everyone says he's okay. I then see the lump on his head. Because of me, he can't go to bed. That's where I'm gathering that's a concussion. Typical wisdom is that when someone has a concussion, they shouldn't go to sleep because I think they might die. I don't actually know why. Oh, I rhymed. Yeah, so this poem's interesting because the first 3 stanzas really are in a separate world from the second 2, the last 2. The first 3 sum up what's happened, whereas the latter 2 deal with more general. Every time I'm upset, the poet says, I listen to 3 Days Grace. Smart things, smart things. I think this poem could really speak to the power that art has to help us deal with our traumas. So I listen to my alt, short for alternative rock. 4th stanza, every time I am upset, I listen to 3DG. It puts my mood into a net. Adam, probably meaning the lead singer, helps me understand that hardships are on demand. A wise teacher of mine told me, all poetry is about poetry. And we can see that here. Even though the speaker is talking about a band, 3DG, it really speaks to art and the power that art has to help us deal with our traumas. And you can't discount the fact that when you're talking about a band, bands have lyrics. Lyrics are a kind of poetry. Bam! All poetry's about poetry. Dr. Eklund, look at me. I'm remembering your lessons. I know from researching who 3DG is that Adam is referring to the lead singer. Do I know his name? Adam Gontier. Poetry is great at multitasking with language. So on my first reading, I didn't know who Adam was. It's impossible to read the name Adam and not think of the biblical Adam. He's also really good at reminding us that hardships are on demand. Doctrine around the biblical Adam is wrapped up in I'll remember it. Not mortal sin. Original sin. Oh, I'm not Catholic enough for this. And he's kind of representative of the sinful nature of man. There's probably some verses that talk about Adam and Jesus kind of as a second Adam, sort of contrasting humanity as a whole versus what Jesus offers with salvation and freedom from sin. There's probably verses, but I don't remember them right now. So even though I think it's safe to assume that this Adam is referring to the Adam Gontier of 3DG, it is interesting to think of it more as the religious Adam. Little brothers getting concussions links you to the history of human suffering. Color! That's something we can talk about. I am not entirely sure what it means. Fault slash is in black. Hardship is in red. You know, a slash is an interesting thing because sometimes a slash indicates that one word could be substituted for another. Or that you need to choose one. That fault slash hardship, they're the same thing. But a slash can also indicate that they're opposed. That there's a conflict there, and the differing colors really suggest that too. Within the context of this poem, fault and hardship are diametrically opposed. I can't tell you what diametrically means. So here's what the poem looks like if we read it by color. Fault. Everyone says he's okay. I then start to believe he only fell because he wanted to play, and they feel that they achieve. Every time I'm upset, I listen to 3DG. It puts my mood into a net and I somewhat start to feel glee. I really should have called out that line, and they feel that they achieve. I'm not entirely sure what it means. What I'm getting is that the they are the people who are telling the speaker that it's not their fault, that the little boy's gonna be okay, and so these people are just saying these things so they feel good about themselves. Fault. Everyone says he's okay. I then start to believe. Fault is the narrator starting to feel less guilty. It's almost like you accept your role, big or small, in something happening. Like when you get to the truth of how much something is or isn't your fault, that's when you get to be okay. Hardship. People keep on telling me it's not my fault. I tend to strongly disagree, so I listen to my alt. I then see the lump on his head and know that they are wrong. Because of me, he can't go to bed, so to calm me down, I listen to this song. Adam helps me understand that hardships are on demand. So we get hardship, and that's and this is the parts of the poem that are a little more, did I say emo? The parts of the poem that are guiltier. I tend to strongly disagree, so I put on my music. I see the lump on his head, I know they're wrong. This is the hardship. This is seeing the truth. It's almost like fault is people telling me it's fine and me listening to my music. Hardship is what the speaker's actually doing and seeing for themselves. So I'm noticing in the fault sections, we have everyone says he's okay. So it's the speaker listening to other people's advice. And every time I'm upset, I listen to 3DG. So it's also the speaker listening to a band to get consolation. It's not the speaker listening to themselves. Somehow fault is really tied up with what other people are saying, whether it is or isn't someone's fault. The hardship is a little more personal. I tend to strongly disagree. I then see the lump on his head, and I know. So nothing about anyone else's input. It's all personal decision. But then that last couplet, it's in red. It's confusing me because it says Adam helps me understand hardships are on demand. So that reading, that would need to be black. It can mean something, people. Fault/hardship takes a rather ordinary difficulty, probably babysitting a boy and he gets hurt, as little boys are wont to do, and uses that as the lens for how do we deal with pain and self-blame, and gets into whether or not you listen to others or yourself, and how do you heal. And according to this poem, you heal through art. You put on your headphones and you listen to 3 Days Grace. And art will help you heal. Time to edit video.